It's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
The numbers don't add up. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today, we've even got the CBC admitting Mark Carney's numbers don't add up. What also doesn't add up is that Canadians are losing jobs at record rates right now, whether that's through the colleges, aluminum, steel, the seafood industry, potash, canola, copper, you name it. And what has Mark Carney and the Liberals done? They've announced financial support for the people of Muldova. You can't make this up. We've also got Donald Trump starting to engage with Putin more, potentially providing pow-pows and boom-booms to Ukraine because Putin pissed off Trump. Let's jump into this. Starting this one off, we're starting to see this. Hydro poles getting cut down for the value of their copper. Donald Trump just announced 50% tariffs on copper, and you see 33 hydro poles getting cut down and stripped for their copper. It says 4 Ontario men were charged, ages between 34 and 51, only in Canada. We've also got this. A 5-time stumbling juice driver from Brampton has been granted bail after being involved in a car crash resulting in life-threatening injuries for at least one person. This is Liberals Canada. This is what they want. They're not charging these guys because they want these problems in our country. With so many Canadians losing jobs right now because of the tariffs, we're also seeing job losses coming from Rogers. As Ryan Gerritsen points out, Rogers Communications used over 1,000 call center agents during the last year and to unknowingly train an AI program that would eventually take their jobs. They all just got laid off. Now there's good news though. Mark Carney and the Liberals have stepped in. They're providing relief. That's right. They're providing relief to the people of Muldova. On this episode of Far Off Ripoff, as we see here announced July 9th, this is just yesterday, $6.5 million technical assistance project is being carried out in partnership with the UN Development Program. This money getting sent over to the Republic of Muldova as we share deep-rooted values and common goals of addressing climate change and advancing gender equality. The two countries are working together to build a greener and more inclusive economy for all. This is a load of crap. Let's just call it what it is. Carney Liberals are selling out Canadians. We quite literally have people have had their businesses wiped out, lost careers, and our money's being sent over to Muldova. So $6.5 million. Project aims to enhance climate resilience and promote gender equality through economic support for rural women entrepreneurs in the agroforestry sector. Women in vulnerable communities will gain targeted and specialized skills in climate-smart agriculture and forestry, leadership, and business development through training. Heaven forbid, because Canadians don't matter, we're going to be sending $6.5 million to Muldova. This is disgraceful. The Liberals have not changed. Nothing has changed. They are still laundering our money on the other side of the planet.
Our goal has always been to make sure that we protect the jobs. And right now, my job is to support the industry. So
the only one they're helping is Muldova. They're not helping the workers of Ontario, the seafood fishermen of British Columbia or Atlantic Canada. This is a disgrace. Another group of people they're not helping is Cpac. This federal government union that was praising Mark Carney because he would protect the private sector, turns out 2,000 of them are on the chopping block. It says Cpac members given notice their jobs are at risk through workforce adjustment. This is before the new Mark Carney cuts coming in September. Congratulations to Liberals, you just voted to have your own job wiped out. Pierre Poilievre wasn't going to fire you. He wasn't going to cut your jobs. He was going to do it through attrition. The popcorn icon sums it up. Grab the popcorn and watch the Liberals reap what they sow. Now Carney's having to deal with his fiscal promises and they don't add up. And they even say this on CBC. He can't deliver what he's promising.
And it's going to take time, but by going this deep and this broad, there's certainly a signal that it's not business as usual for the federal government. This is a broad and deep review, the likes of which we haven't seen in a very long time. And just to put it in some perspective, under the Harper government, the target was typically around 5%, but only 20% of the departments were looked at each year. So you'd have to take 5 years to turn over the entire government. And a lot of that spending, particularly in the early years, was reallocated, so it wasn't cut. So compared to that initiative, this is actually significantly larger and it's quicker. They're looking to kind of turn this government and its spending base upside down over this summer.
You know, we've spoken with the Public Service Alliance of Canada. They look at these percentage targets, the dollar amounts, and even at the narrower base of spending rather than the total base of spending. And they see programs going out the door. They see jobs going out the door. They see service delivery becoming more difficult. Is that necessarily the outcome of this process in your view?
You see programs go from one part of the government, one department to another. I think the commitment was to hold the same number of public servants, but where they work is largely going to change. And this is going to be the challenge for the public servants to kind of rise to the occasion and see how nimble it can really be.
They're going to be cutting public servants, and these are the same people that voted for Carney. I even saw somewhere today that they said that the defense budget needs to be cut.
Because this is kind of that once-in-a-generation shift where we see a government really put its stamp on the priorities, and it's going to mean resources are going to move, and that means not only money, but it means people.
But one of the other challenges, aside from this, is The fiscal situation is probably worse based on the assumptions, certainly going into the election and since the election. Donald Trump has disrupted things. They've made their middle class tax cut. They've started the plan on boosting defense spending, which is supposed to hit $150 billion by 2035, which is like $1 in $3 of program spending. I mean, when you look at even with these reallocations or cuts, however it winds up, but you look at those extra expenses, you look at the extra uncertainty, there's a much larger deficit, it seems, in the future here, Sahir. I mean, do they need to look at things like the GST, for example, as a way to get around it, or do you think they can make it work with the revenues they have?
Even David Cochrane saying that the budget doesn't add up. The budget's not balancing itself. Straight from the CBC, as woke as they get, he's saying that the budget is too big.
Well, I think this is a pretty important start. I think we have to consider that. But as we kind of get out of this affordability crunch, we can imagine that maybe some other consumption tax increases could be increased. It's not our suggestion to do that right now. People are still struggling at affordability, and this is probably the wrong time to raise those taxes. But
yeah, no kidding. They're going to send billions of dollars off to Africa for gender-sensitive farming and then increase taxes on Canadians in Canada. Get out of here. If they increase taxes, there's going to be some serious rioting and revolting in this country. Just look at the situation here. We got a Canadian steel and aluminum worker who switched over to copper because of Trump tariffs, and now he's getting nuked again.
Ryan Jordan is used to being malleable. When Canada was hit with steel and aluminum tariffs in the first Trump term, he shifted his business to copper. But his exports to the U.S. could face a 50% tax.
We're worried that our finished product being shipped over will be tariffed, hence cutting us out of the market compared to companies in Michigan or the U.S.
American customers make up about 20% of his business, and those types of tariffs would be a major dent in the industry. Of the $9.3 billion worth of Canadian copper exports in 2023, more than half went to the U.S. The next two biggest destinations were China and Japan. Some trade experts believe there is an irony to the U.S. imposing tariffs under the guise of national security.
That may cause the allies to form coalitions with each other, turn to other superpowers like China and the EU, and ironically will be undermining U.S. national security by undermining ally confidence in the United States.
It's almost like they're planning like this, almost like Carney had this idea from the start to use this situation with Trump to make closer ties with Canada and China. Next up, we got Sun Duran here posting a clip of a newcomer driving 200 kilometers an hour with a stumbling juice in his hand.
This is insane. This student from Sheridan College in Oakville, Ontario, openly holding a bus, or drinking and driving, doing 200 kilometers an hour on our streets like it's a freaking video game. This is unbelievable. And they're doing it like this because there's no consequences. He put this on his own Snapchat, for God's sakes. This is unbelievable what is happening in our country. There's no respect for the rule of law because we don't enforce the law. And what's most disturbing is they will end up crashing. They will end up killing somebody, and it's going to be innocent families and children. I don't care if they kill themselves.
That's exactly what's going to happen. It'll be someone innocent. What needs to happen with this? Let's just call it out as it is. So he's going 200 kilometers an hour. I don't know the speed limit there. Let's just assume it's 100. So he's doubled the speed limit. The car should be impounded and his license should be taken away for 10 years. And on top of that, because he's drinking a stumbling juice, that should be an additional 15 years in jail. Put him in jail for 25 years. When he gets out, he won't make this mistake again. And you know what else? Other people won't make this mistake because they don't want to be in jail for 25 years for doing something that will most definitely eventually end someone's life or end an entire family's life. That's how serious this is, and that's how serious this should be taken. Now, if he was sent to jail, we've got this one from Blacklock's reporter. Well, what are the costs? It says prison costs are now $436 daily. The cost of keeping an inmate in federal prison averages $436 a day, a new record, according to Correction Services. Inmates in women's prisons were the most expensive at $779 a day. It says the cost of maintaining an offender in a community is 74% less than what it costs to maintain an offender in custody, $41,000 per year versus $159,000 per year. This is insane. We should not be paying for them to be in jail. They need to be working in jail and producing value so we don't have to pay a dime. Get someone smart in there, figure out a system, copy the El Salvador system and how they have people working in jails. They have them farming, they have them sewing, they have them fixing cars, being mechanics, building things. Have them produce more value in jails than the cost of them being in the jail. We should not have to pay for bad people going to jail. They should be paying us additional money that's generated from certain criminals. Say they took out a father of a family, that additional value should be paid to the family, and jails should essentially be making money, not losing money. I mean, look at these stats here. The Correctional Service overall spends in more than $3.2 billion annually. Why hasn't someone sat down and say, hey, how do we make the jails make money versus lose money? It's very obvious. There's a bunch of people in here not doing anything. Force them to do things or they don't get to eat. These are not nice people. These are monsters of society. I don't care if they don't like it. We all have to work. They have to work. And they should be doing the worst jobs in society that cost us the most amount of money. Get them in a suit and stuff them into a septic tank and get them cleaning. Don't want to clean, you don't eat. I got a piece of advice early on in my life, and that's life's not fair. It's not. Do your job in jail or you don't eat. Next up, we got Mario showing how newcomers get special benefits at Canadian banks.
So this is from RBC, and it's called Newcomer First. I'm assuming that's the branding that they put behind this, but it says, new to Canada, open your first checking account with RBC. Now here are the benefits. No monthly banking fee for the first year, up to 12% cash back with the new RBC Cashback MasterCard. I've never had that.
12% cash back? What the heck? You'd be lucky to get 1%. And the interest rate on RBC accounts is nothing. It's like 0.001%. RBC is awful. They're so greedy, really, for doing banking in Canada. EQ Bank and Wealthsimple, they offer the highest rates, hands down, the best banks to deal with right now.
Up to $15,000 credit limit and no credit history required. Wow. And you can do it all online in one application. Checking, credit card, savings. With them, you get unlimited debit transactions, free Interact, which I think we all get Interact for free, or do we pay for it? I don't know. No RBC fee. Use another bank's ATM in Canada. Wow. Zero fee international money transfer as often as you want to almost any country, including India, China, in the Philippines.
This is crazy. I pay fees on both personal and private banking accounts with RBC. And the only reason I'm with RBC is because it's the only one I can pay my corporate taxes with. But I think this has recently changed with Wealthsimple. They have a corporate account now. I'm in the process of seeing if I can completely switch over because RBC sucks. I'll just straight up say it. They suck. This is a perfect example of it. Canadians don't get these benefits. I've been with RBC since I was 16 years old. You'd think I would be getting these benefits because I've been with them for so long. And instead they give all these benefits to newcomers and Canadians get treated like garbage.
I wonder why they would single out those countries specifically. Earn Avion points on your online and in-store debit purchases? I thought that was a credit card thing only. Anyways, free small safety deposit box for a year.
What?
And then as we saw this before, you can add a credit card with no credit history required. Special offer, they're giving nearly 5% interest on their deposits for 3 months. There's no monthly fee, minimum deposits, or balance required.
You can get similar rates with EQ Bank. You have these accounts that they're like 1 month. After a month, you can take your money out whenever you want, but you get pretty high rates similar to this, where with RBC, they hook you in with these deals and then it's gone after 3 months. And then later they increase the account fees. Year after year, they keep adding $1 onto it. And first it starts off at $1. And after a couple of years, you're paying $5 for each account.
Free account transfers 24/7, no delay. And then you have access to online mobile telephone banking. Now here's why. Nearly 1/3 of Canadians have never switched banks. And many Canadians, nearly 70%, have maintained the same bank account for 11 years. And that's how the monetization happens. Take a hit early on, offer incredible offers, then reap the rewards.
So they're doing that with immigrants. And as I stated myself, I've been with RBC since I was 16 years old. It was my first bank. And I eventually got a Scotiabank. Last year, I got rid of my Scotiabank because they're awful. And I will be getting rid of RBC as soon as I can because they're also awful. I had a Tangerine as well. Got rid of that for the most part. Sadly, I'm one of those statistics. Stop banking with RBC. Yeah, isn't that the truth? I'm not going to stay with a bank that offers more incentives to newcomers than somebody who's been with them for 25 plus years. So next up, we got an update here. Russia has sent over 700 drones to Ukraine overnight. A lot of bing, bang, boom, pow, pow stuff. Donald Trump is pissed off with Vladimir Putin. He feels betrayed by Vladimir Putin. This is reaching, as they said, a boiling point. Trump doesn't like to be made to look like a fool. That's essentially what's kind of happened here. He said he's going to make a deal with Putin and he's going to come to the table and then he just flips-flops and he does whatever he wants behind his back. Trump doesn't like that. It's a betrayal of his trust.
We're not happy with Putin. I'm not happy with Putin. I can tell you that much right now because he's killing a lot of people. And a lot of them are his soldiers. We get a lot of bull thrown at us by Putin, for you want to know the truth. It's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
You know, when Trump starts swearing, he's really pissed off.
President Trump using expletives, that means he is not happy. Can you talk to us about where we are in the relationship, it seems, between Putin and President Trump? Shortly after Trump made those comments, there was this big attack overnight on Ukraine.
Yeah, and I think what we're seeing here is President Donald Trump is reaching a boiling point. We know this is one of his signature campaign promises, to be able to end this war. He made clear that if he were president, it never would have happened. And he talked about his relationship with Vladimir Putin. And we have seen the president speak oftentimes as if he is carrying talking points for the Kremlin. But I think what we're seeing now is President Trump seems to be coming around to the fact that what Vladimir Putin says to him, and then what he does is something completely different. And I think that's also why we saw now the United States end this pause of weapons that it was sending to Ukraine. And clearly, it appears as though the president now is moving to a place where many Western nations, quite frankly, are relieved to see the United States. The United States has been one of the biggest benefactor or the biggest donor of weapons to Ukraine. And now I think what we're seeing here is President Donald Trump is moving closer and closer to that position of actually providing more assistance to Ukraine, not less.
So next up, things are heating up with Donald Trump and Russia to the point where now he's considering sending Ukraine a new missile defense system.
Very expensive system. It's a shame that we have to spend so much money on a war that would have never happened if I were president.
While he ponders that, he continues to deal with the fallout of an abrupt decision last week to pause a U.S. arms shipment to Ukraine. Trump reversed that decision and denies knowing who ordered it.
Well, I haven't thought about it because we're looking at Ukraine right now and munitions, but I have not gone into it.
Sources tell U.S. media Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth paused the shipment, and Democratic lawmakers are furious.
Donald Trump should fire him, or Pete Hegseth should tender his resignation. That's been clear and apparent for months. It's shocking to me that this charade continues to go on.
Trump vowing to get to the bottom of whoever stopped the shipment, while his focus appears aimed at a different target, taking a much harsher tone towards the Russian president he so often publicly admired.
We get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin, for you want to know the truth. It's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
And tonight, it's the Kremlin who says those verbal assaults are meaningless. A spokesperson for the Russian government says it remains calm amid Trump's shifting tone and is moving forward with its plan unfettered.
Yeah, Putin is shaking in his boots right now because he knows full well that he's used everything he's had on Ukraine. I mean, they're bringing in people from North Korea to help. So if America gets involved in this, Putin's screwed. He knows Russia can't fight America.